Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I want to respond to all you wonderful queries that you left on my Question Time January 2023 video. So, the idea of Question Time is you ladies and gentlemen get to ask hopefully thoughtful, entertaining, or engaging questions, and I will do my best to answer them in a video format. So, first things first, we have Duke Nuke 8 asking, they asked this question in a previous video, what do you think is overall the best card in the game currently? Last time they checked, you said it was like Gung Ho Belial. And Gung Ho Belial is probably one of the best overall cards when she was released. Like, it was just used virtually everywhere. And right now, that's hard to say because there are so many truly meaningful and strong cards now. It all depends on what you're currently playing. But you do make allusions to, like, what's the best leader. And LJ Kitty is definitely one of the stronger leaders currently available. And amusingly enough, it's kind of going to tie into James Hoffman's question of who do you say is the most impactful card in the meta for PAD 2022 and think it will remain viable through 2023. Generally speaking, weapon assists tend to last the longest, but for LJ Kitty, I feel like she had quite a big impact because it was an inexpensive trade to make. When you think about it, all it cost you was, I think, 5 or 4 6-star Godfest exclusives. It is basically one of the cheapest trades we can make, so there was a good opportunity for many players to actually pick up 1 or even 2 copies. And the fact that there are multiple farmable options, so to speak, because Raw Dragon is technically farmable, options for closing in the board changing loop, it is reasonably easy to team build. To a certain extent, LJ Kitty is quite well rounded. You can use any type of card. You don't really care about RCV. You don't care about Jammer Resist. You don't care about Poison Resist. All you really care about is Blind Resist, really. And just having enough effective health to tank stuff. So like shielding, a cleric, absorption cancellation. You come avoid void naturally. I feel like just as a whole package, LJ Kitty is incredibly strong and definitely one of the more impactful cards I feel, and it should be reasonably long lasting. Obviously, rainbow based cards don't fare so well in super gravity dungeons, but it's still great in other kinds of content. User YD4B, multiple letters and numbers, asks, how do you farm more gold? And that comes down to what dungeons you're capable of clearing. A good way to get a bunch of gold is just simply playing the 8-player PvP dungeon every month. You play enough times, you get multiple billions worth of gold, which might be enough to, just keep you going for, depending on how many, like, level 120s you want to make. But another reason why you should play 8-player is because it does give some magic stones, it does give you a bunch of free rolls, so there's no reason not to play 8-player in my opinion. But other great places that I've found work out well is if you can play MD2. Technically, MD2 is great for Super Snow Globe Dragons and some pies, but it also gives 2 billion coins if you actually encounter light millies instead of blue or green. I know that, is it MD4, I think? I think the higher MDs to also give gold. The UN dungeons also give gold. And again, it all comes down to what you're able to clear, but I do recommend 8-player PvP. Classic Old says, have I ever considered making a JP account or playing the JP server? I did at one point a long time ago, but like the language barrier just gave me that great sense of disconnect. And it does play quite differently for sure, in the sense that, well, like they have a bunch of cards that we just simply don't have. And I feel like it would definitely like possibly warp my experience overall. So that's partially why I never did. I do have friends who play, I talk to them. So like I'm not too badly out of the loop, I like to think. King Patty says, what's a good Sailing Witch team? And where's the best dungeon to utilize your 1.8 times rank experience? Well, basically, if you want to farm rank experience, the best place to do so tends to be Alt Shura 1 or Alt World of Carnage 1, because it gives you 40 million rank experience in like just basic. It will just give you 40 million no matter what. And what you can do is enter with your Saliens or any like experience boosting card, and then just leader swap them into position, and leader swap them out and some new leader into position, and then you can actually leverage that to gain significantly more rank experience. But at the same time, farming rank doesn't do too much for you nowadays, I feel, unless you're trying to hit like rank 1000, 900, 800, etc. to get those memorial rolls when they do those regular resets. So if you get to rank 1000, there's really no point in pushing beyond rank 1000 at this point in time, I'd say, and obviously the curve gets exponentially silly as well. Many numbers ask, a lot of my older content, I made tier lists for various rems, but these days I don't. Why the change? Is it something you stop because you're focusing more on videos and writing for my health? It's definitely one of those aspects for sure. It's been challenging to utilize my wrists. It's been problematic for the past many years now, and I've had to make quite a few concessions and adjustments in my life. There's a lot of things I just can't do anymore, which is frustrating. But also at the same time, to a certain extent, it can be difficult to get a great idea of what's a valuable card, because like there's so much usage now in pad. Like there's farming, there's endgame dungeon, there's valuable weapon assists, subs, leaders. Like there's so many metrics nowadays. Before it was much more clean cut, so to speak. It's like you have like one good form, there was no weapon assist. It's much easier to say this card is great because they're a good sub or they're a great leader. Now there's so many different aspects for a card to be utilized. Most things have potentially a niche usage overall. And I feel like maybe I should just like, what I've been starting to do more lately is talk about like what are like the chase cards from events. So like these are cards that are definitely stronger, more valuable, and obviously depending on how much I praise them might give you a relative idea of how good they could possibly be. Trayvar says, what do I think about the Monster Hunter Exchange cards? More so asking about the 3 gears and 2 assists. I feel that the Zeus Hunter is valuable because the active skill is a gravity plus an attribute absorption cancellation. It's a rare combination that can make your life much easier, and I do know it is utilized in like Alt Shura 1 to like gravity down the boss, ignore their color absorption problem, and then potentially one shot from that point. So I feel like that's the one that's the most useful to make. Like I have been farming the mats, but I don't really utilize the cards really in any way at this point in time. I'd say that's possibly the most impactful one. So Andre says, what are some good rainbow teams? I've said LJ Kitty many times. LJ Kitty works well. Alexander, Raffine work as well. Raffine is a wonderfully strong leader. They were one of the more notable teams to clear MD4 when it first came out, simply because it has high effective health, it has high damage output, and you're guaranteed to be able to fish out any color orb you want with the copious amounts of movement time and the spinners. So in theory, you can match any style of board you want to do. So for rainbow teams, it comes down to trying to counter mechanics. You need to have solutions for guaranteeing your board activation. So with Raffine, it's spinners. With LJ Kitty, it could utilize spinners too, or just having enough LJ Kitties or Raw Dragons, A10s, etc. to make those boards for yourself, along with having counters to absorption, as well as void, damage void, depending on the team you utilize. So for the most part, it's just countering mechanics. I feel like rainbow-based teams are a bit more flexible in team building just because they can use potentially a wide variety of subs. So definitely play around if you're like Raffine or Alexander. I feel like Raffine might be an easier one to build for because you don't need as many skill boosts to keep going. Yes, it's kind of annoying. There's that second transformation step, but you can definitely overcome that, I feel. And then finally, Karen Lantang says, wishing me and my loved ones a health, happiness, and prosperity through the new year. So thank you so much to Karen. So that draws an end to this month's question time. I just started getting back into this, and I will plan to do this on a monthly basis. So if you do have interesting or exciting questions you'd like to ask me, it doesn't have to necessarily be pad related. It could be other related. Feel free to ask them in the next video. Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.